Okay, so I know it's the end of January. I know you've seen everyone's end of year content, and I know I am really late for this, but I'm nosy. I'd watch anyone's end of year content, even if it was in July. So I thought, why not film my end of year roundup for all the books I read? So that's what we're doing today. So if you're interested, grab a drink. I have my trusty mug with my coffee, which is not hot enough, but that's fine. So in 2024, I read 160 books, and I'm gonna rapid fire go through all of them. And the thing is that I have my Goodreads listed here, so I'll just go by month that I've read each book, and we'll see if I remember them, and we'll see if the ratings stick or not. So I'll just brief description and what I thought very briefly, because I don't want this video to be 2 hours long. We'll try to aim for under half an hour. We'll see if it works. So grab a drink, sit down, or do some housework or whatever homework, whatever you feel like it, and we'll chat. Let's go. So I started January with Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I'm on Team Divine Rivals is one of the best books that was written in 2023. It was in my top books for that year, so I was really excited to read Ruthless Vows. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It was really good, but I preferred the first one. Next, I started my Throne of Glass era. I started with Assassin's Blade. If you have any questions about the reading order, I have opinions. We can talk. So I gave it 4 stars. To me, this one is 3 or 4 novellas set in the world of Throne of Glass, so that you have a bit of a backstory on the main character. And to me, it was important to read it first, because if I had started with Throne of Glass, I would not have stuck with the series. Next, I read Immortality. This one is the second book in the Anatomy duology by Dana Schwartz. I liked the first one. It wasn't like the best book I've ever read, but I enjoyed the vibes. I enjoyed the main character. I enjoyed what it was. This one is a story about a girl living in, I think, 1800s in England, and she wants to be a surgeon, and she can't because she's a girl, and she finds a way. So that's the ending of the duology, so I won't spoil it for you, but I gave it 3.5 stars. Next, I read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas and Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas, and I gave them both 4 stars. I won't give you a synopsis for this. I believe everyone in the world knows about it, but if you don't, you can ask. I'll gladly talk about it. After that, I read The Arc of the Fury by Alex Michaelides. The thing about me is that I hate his books. Honestly, I had just read The Silent Patient and I enjoyed it, but then I finished it and I was like, what was that? Because the amount of plot holes in the book was just as mind-boggling as the way he gets out of a situation in his book. It was so shocking. So The Fury was a big miss for me because it was exactly the same, full of plot holes, and I just really didn't like it, so I gave it 2 stars. Then I went on to read 2 of my favorite books in the Throne of Glass series. So Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows, both 5 stars, my favorite books in Throne of Glass. So that's that. After that, I read 2 novellas, The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren and Worst Wingman Ever by Abby Jimenez. The Exception to the Rule, I gave 4 stars. Honestly, I have no idea what it was about, so I guess I liked it. And then I read the second one by Worst Wingman Ever, by Abby Jimenez, sorry, and I gave it 3 stars. Still, no clue what I read, so take that with a grain of salt. I don't know. After that, I was done with January. So I started my February reading with A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers, which is that book. This is a novella in the Monk and Robot series. Perfection. It's like a hot cup of tea on a cold day with your BFF, just chatting. That's this book. It's just such a warm hug. I love that book. So I gave it 5 stars. It's a quick novella. Read it, read it, read it. Thank you. After that, I read The First Light Wins by Ashley Elston. I gave it 3 stars. Very forgettable. I like the main character. This one is about a spy, I think. And she goes on a mission, and you get to learn her backstory, and stuff happens, and basic thriller stuff. But I found it very boring and predictable. So I gave it 3 stars because it was still like a fast paced read and it did what it had to do, but it wasn't a fun time for me. After that, I read Good Material by Dolly Alderton. I love Dolly Alderton. I read Ghosts when it came out in 2017, I think, and I still think about it often. It was a 5-star read. I love it. Wow, it blew my mind that a writer could have such a point of view that goes it scratches an itch in my brain. I love her writing. So I was really excited to get the art for that one, and I loved it. I really did love it. It's a weird one for what you're used to with her. It's the same writing style, but it follows a guy in his 30s after a breakup. That's the book. So it's the male guy's point of view, which is rare in that field, I guess. So it was interesting, but the main character, he's not that likable, and I'm a big fan of unlikable main characters. But yeah, I found him quite, I don't want to say boring, but yeah. So I really liked it. The writing was great. The story is good. I enjoyed what you wanted to do with it, but it wasn't a 5-star for me as Ghost was, so it was a 4 stars. I really recommend it if you want to read, like, it's more lit ficky. It's about a breakup, but it's more about how he processes it with his friends, with his life. After that, I read one of my favorite books of the year, Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is not for everyone. This is definitely not for everyone. I'm a big fan of Ali Hazelwood. She makes me laugh. I know some people find her corny, but she makes me laugh. So I love her books. And this one is about a vampire and a werewolf. So yeah, I loved it. 5 stars. After that, I did the tandem read for Throne of Glass. So I read both Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms together. If you want to do the tandem read, I highly recommend it. It's a thick one, but after that, you're like, oh my god, I can read anything. Oh, sorry for the sirens. I gave them both 4 stars. They're both very different books. Tower of Dawn is much slower, much more character based, whereas Empire of Storm is much more plot driven. So it was fun to read both at the same time. So I highly recommend it. Then I read The Story Life of A.J. Fikri by Gabrielle Zevin. I gave 4 stars. Such a cute story. This one is really short. I think it's under 300 pages. It's about a guy that has a bookstore, a store. I don't remember if it's a bookstore or not. And life happens. He's unhappy, and then something knocks on his door, and his life changes, and you follow that. And honestly, so heartwarming, so cute, so touching. I loved it. Then I read No Exit by Taylor Adams. I loved his book last year, which was, I don't remember. I loved it so much, and I don't remember the one about the girl that gives a 1-star review and then gets stalked by the author. Anyways, that book I gave 5 stars, so I wanted to read his backlist book. I'm so sorry. Something's happening with the sirens. I apologize. So I was excited to read that one, but this one is about a kind of hostage situation in a rest stop. I just, no. It was a big no for me. I still gave it 3 stars because it did what it had to do. but it wasn't for me. After that, it was The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. I didn't know what to expect with that one, but I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It was, if I remember correctly, a couple that moves into a house, but the community doesn't want them to move into that house, and you follow that. So it's a bit creepy. It's fun. I like that one. 4 stars. After that, started March. So that was the last book I read in February, and then starting March, I read The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. So cute. Such a good one. I really love her books. She writes romance, but with magical realism. So this one, it's a time-traveling apartment. Sounds weird. It works. And the birds. If you've read this one, please tell me you love the birds in that story. Thank you. 4.5 stars for me. Then I read my best thriller of the year. It was an arc, and it was just chef's kiss for me. It reads exactly like when you first discover the serial podcasts about true crime. If you know what I'm talking about, this book it feels exactly the same way. You just can't stop reading / listening if you're doing the audiobook. I read it on my Kindle. It's Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. It was a big 5 stars for me. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It's multimedia, so it's a podcast. So you have the podcast element, the interviews, and the main characters. I think you have both POVs. Anyways, really fun story. Really fun story. You should read that one. After that, another arc I gave 2 stars to. It was Daughter of Mine by Megan Miranda. It was my first book by Megan Miranda, and I'm not the biggest psychological thriller girly. I like some, but it's not a sure hit for me, but I wanted to try her books since she's so popular. 2 stars. So boring. So boring. After that, I was convinced by my book girlies on Instagram, my book besties, to read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Since I had read The Storied Life of A.J. Figgery, they told me, why would you read that one first, since the other one is so much more well-liked? I liked it. Was it the best book I've ever read? No. It's a story about 2 friends who create video games together, and you follow their life. Like each of their lives. It's interesting. She writes really well, but is it mind-boggling and the best thing you'll ever read? Not in my opinion. So I gave it 4 stars because it's still really good. So after that, I needed something great, so I read the second book in the Monk and Robot series, which is called A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers, and exactly like the first one, just a warm hug and a hot cup of tea with your best friend. It's just, I loved it. I loved it. This duology, if I could read it every day, I would. 5 stars. And then another disappointment. I read 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I was super excited because I loved her A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. So I really wanted to read that one, and I gave it 2.5 stars. It's about friends that go in an RV and something happens and stuff happens. 2.5 stars. I didn't really care for it. Then I picked up one of my most surprising read of the year. I got an arc that I didn't request, but I decided to read it anyway. It's called The Off Season by Amber Cowie. She's a Canadian writer. I think she's in BC. I had never heard of her. I had never heard of that book. The vibes. This is a mystery book set on a small island in BC. The vibes. It's like if The Shining was written by a woman in the 2020s, and just, delicious. Read it. Please read it. After that, another surprising book that opened my eyes to the deliciousness of weird fiction. It's called I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel. Oh my god, this book. I gave it 4 stars, but honestly, it's a 5. It's a 5. I can't stop thinking about it ever since. It's the diary of an unhinged girl that stalks her ex-boyfriend that's married's new girlfriend, and that's it. That's the book. It is I can't. It's so good. It's really short, under 300 pages. If you enjoyed weird books, if you enjoyed an unlikable main character, please pick this up. It's so good. So good. And then I read Ready. I finished Throne of Glass. I read Kingdom of Ash, 980 pages of it. 5 stars. 5 stars. I cried. I did. I don't cry a lot in books, but I cried. Still in March, I read Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It's about a tennis player, a championship winning tennis player that's, I think, oh my god. She retired and then she got challenged to get back in the game, and so you follow her through that, if I'm not mistaken. 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I really love Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. That was a hard one. And then I read The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I love Catherine Center. She's like, you know how when spring arrives and you start seeing flowers, the sky is blue, the birds are singing. That's her books. That's her books for me. I really liked that one. It wasn't my favorite of her, but I really liked it, so I gave it 4 stars. And then we start April. So we're in April now. I read A Darker Shade of Magic, gave it 4 stars. This one is by B.V. Schwab. It's the first in the trilogy. It's a good one. It's magic. It's 3 different Londons, and the way she writes the characters, and she puts a very specific intention in like the clothes. I don't know. I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it a great 4 stars. After that, I read If Something Happens to Me by Alex Finlay. Gave it 3 stars. Boring. I don't even remember what it was about. So I picked up, you see a pattern? I read a boring book. I try one that I'll like after, and I hope it worked well. After that, I picked up Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. I gave it 4 stars. This one is about a mother that witnesses her son killing someone, and she goes back in time to fix it. A kind of Groundhog Day thing, if I remember correctly. I really enjoyed it. That one, it was surprising. And then I read The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. The prose. Leigh Bardugo could write anything. So good. The vibes on the cover are exactly what this book is. It's gothic, it's eerie, it's so good. It's set in the Spanish Inquisition era, and you follow, I think she was a witch. I don't remember. I need to reread it. Anyways, I really loved it. The vibes, delish. Gave it 4 stars. And then I read Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I gave 3.5 stars. This is about something that happens on an island with witches and curses, I think. After that, The Rom-Comers by Catherine Center. I had the arc of this one. Perfection. It's in the same world as The Bodyguard. I loved it so much that I just recently bought a trophy copy for my shelf. So yeah, 5 stars. Read this one. It's a lovely rom-com. It's super cute. Then I read one of my worst books of the year. It's called This Girl's a Killer by Emma C. Wells. I had the arc of it. I gave it 1 star. I have no regrets. Honestly, I DNF'd at 30%. It was so bad. So bad. The errors, no spell check, no. See, I'm losing my words. It got me so mad. I'm still mad. This was back in April. I'm still mad. We're in January of the next year. This book. It's not even worth an angry reading session. It's so bad. She even mentions that Zelda is on Xbox. Like, did you even do tiniest bit of research before writing your book? Just a tiny bit. just a tiny bit to show us that you have the brainwave to actually do this. But people enjoyed the story. But if you're like me and enjoy quality writing and writers that actually think about what they put on page, don't read this one. After that, A Gathering of Shadows, which is the second book in the Darker Shade of Magic by V. Schwab. I loved it. 4 stars. Great sequel. Then The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. I was really, really mad at 5 Survive, so I was hesitant to read that one, but I ended up giving it 4 stars. Interesting. It's about a woman that disappears, and you follow her daughter. I think she's 14. When her mother suddenly reappears like 7 years later or something, and you follow that. It's really twisty, it's really turny, it's YA, it's fun. Give it 4 stars. After that, I read Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Again, my booksta besties convinced me to read that one. 2 stars. I hated it. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but something happens that made me hate it. If not, I would have enjoyed it. It's a fun one, but something happens that, no. Why would I read 300 and more pages for that? No. And then I picked up John Scalzi's Red Shirts. Really fun one. I really enjoy his books. He writes sci-fi with dad jokes. It's honestly such a laugh. Love it. Love that one. Gave it 4 stars. Highly recommend. After that, we started May. And I started May with one of my most intimidating read, which was Priory of the Orange Tree. It's like this big. It's like a dictionary to read, and the pages are so thin. And I ended up giving it 4 stars. It's a really good story. The characters are so well crafted. It's slower paced than, let's say, Throne of Glass, but it's just, and like there's dragons and stuff like that, and I can still see the world in my head. Like the setting is really good. The story is good. It's just not a book that, like, it's not a page turner of a book, but it's a really interesting one. After that, I got Mad Honey from Jodi Picoult and Jennifer Finney Boylan. It's a good one. I really enjoyed Jodi Picoult's writing, so I was excited to read that one. It's a complicated story. I'd have a hard time just doing a basic synopsis of it, but it's an interesting read. You should pick it up if you like this type of fiction. Then a disappointment because the cover is so pretty. I read The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie by Rachel Linden. Could not care for any of it. It's cute, it's fun. Could not care for it, so I gave it 2 stars. After that, I started my Kristen Hanna era. Read The Great Alone. This was back in May. I still think about it. I still regularly think about the setting of that book and the characters of that book. It made me cry so much. Gave it 4.5 stars. And then read A Stranger in the House by Shari Lapina. I liked it. It was a fun one. Do I remember any of it? Not really. Gave it 3 stars. After that, after my birthday, every year, Carly Fortune blesses me with a book. So this year it was This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoy her books. They're cute, they're fun, they're rom-com-y, and they're always set in some tiny place in Canada, and this one was set in PEI, and oh my god, her settings. It's like being there with the characters, and then you actually can visit the places because they do exist. I mean, it's the best. I love her. After that, I decided to give another chance to Abby Jimenez since I had disliked her novella. I read Part of Your World, and I loved it. The goat in pajamas. So cute. It's a rom-com. There are 3 in the same universe, I guess. I read all 3. Spoiler alert. This one was a 4 stars for me. After that, I had an arc for The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I liked it. It's like a Sherlock Holmes if Sherlock Holmes was an old lady that's a tiny bit crazy. And it's nice. It's fun. It's a bit fantasy. It's fun. I have the arc for the second one, and I I'm excited to read it. I gave it 3.5 stars. And then I picked up Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and this one was my favorite of the three. Gave it 5 stars. So good. After that, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Gave that one 4 stars. It was really cute. The letters, the quizzes, so cute. And then I picked up The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. Gave it 4 stars. Really vibey story. I really enjoy her writing. It's lyrical. It's really interesting. It's sci-fi. Yeah, it's a good one. The cover speaks volumes to what's in the book. And then I picked up Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. Gave that 4 stars. I really enjoyed that trilogy. I gave 4 stars to the second one and gave 5 stars to the third one. I read them back to back. I really had fun with that one. So Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. 4 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. Really liked it. We're in June now, by the way. Then Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood came out, so I read that. Again, I really love Ali Hazelwood, and she makes me laugh. I enjoy her writing. I'm so sorry about all the sirens. I don't know what's happening. But this one was a 3 stars for me. It wasn't my favorite. I just usually I'm giddy and I'm enjoying like following along with the couple, but this one I just like, it was fun. It was interesting. I like the setting. I like everything about like the little universe, but I just couldn't root for the characters, for the actual couple. So that's why I gave it 3 stars. After that, I read the last one in the Shades of Magic trilogy by V. Schwab, A Conjuring of Light. 5 stars. Loved it. Loved it. Excellent conclusion. After that, I had an arc of a book. I requested it. I got it from Simon and Schuster. Thank you so much. Such a special read. Such a special read. My most surprising read. I would never have seen it in stores. I don't think I've ever seen it ever since it came out. I saw it in a few videos on BookTube, but oh my god, everybody should read it. It should be like mandatory. It's that good. It's called The Sky Full of Elephants by Sibyl Campbell. It's about a world. It's dystopian. It's about a world where all the white people off themselves, and what happens to America after that. It's so interesting. You follow a dad that learns that he has a daughter and how they connect in that specific world where her daughter was living with her mom that was white, so she's not there anymore, in a white family. So she was white passing, and now everybody she knows is dead, and she kind of blames her dad. It's not his fault, but whatever. Anyways, read this, read this, read this, read it. Read this, please. Thank you. I picked up after that Murder in the Family by Kara Hunter. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars, but I honestly can't remember what it's about. I know it's a thing in a house with an attic, but I don't remember. I apologize. After that, I started my Stephen King reading for Mr. Mercedes. I wanted to read Holly. Holly had just come out, so I decided to read the trilogy that presents her character, since I had never read it. So I started with Mr. Mercedes. I couldn't get into the book, so I got the audio. It helped. It's an interesting story. I ended up giving it 4 stars. After that, I picked up What Have You Done in July. We start July now, by Shari Lapina. I really enjoyed this one. I got an arc for it. I gave it 4 stars. It's a fun one. She writes a good quick thriller. It's really fast paced with like short sentences. It's really easy to read. It's a fun one. And then I wanted to start my Bone Season era by Samantha Shannon. So I read The Pale Dreamer, which is a novella that's set before, so you kind of understand, a bit like the Assassin's Blade for Throne of Glass. I liked it. I really enjoyed that one. I gave it 4 stars. And then there's a tiny booklet that you have to read to kind of understand all the powers and the world, so that when you get into the Bone Season, you kind of understand better. So enjoy the reading because it's easier on your brain. It's called On the Merits of Unnaturalness. It's cute. I gave it 3 stars. I mean, it's a booklet that you learn about the characters. So I highly recommend reading those before diving into the Bone Season. I started reading the Bone Season after, and my brain couldn't deal with fantasy, so I stopped. I'm gonna pick it back up soon, but it really helped. What did I read after that? The Haters by Robin Harding. I loved the Drowning Woman last year. Really enjoyed that, so I was excited to read that one. And I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't as good to me as the Drowning Woman, but it was a really fun one. It's about online haters and what you do with, like, when you get bad reviews and what happens. The real life repercussions of that. After that, it was House of Glass by Sarah Buchanan. I never read a book by her, and I was excited to get the arc. And honestly, it was a really fun one. It's I think I gave it 4.25. Yeah, set in like a house of glass, like rich people drama. People die. You have to find out what happens. It's dark and twisty. I liked it. What did I read after that? Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. So cute. This one is fantasy, cozy fantasy. It's set in a tea house for people. The people go into the tea house before they need to move on to the next world. Cute. I gave it 4.25. Then I had an art for The Perfect Fit by Clara Gilmore. Could not say anything about this one. I have no memory, but I gave it 3 stars. After that, on my Audible subscription, I listened to The Dispatcher because it was written by John Scalzi. I had so much fun with that one. It's a series. It's about a guy that's a dispatcher. It's sci-fi again. And his job is to help hospitals with insurance. Like when there's about to be a medical error or someone's about to die on the table and you want to be able to help them instead of... He dispatches them, so he shoots them so that they die, because when you are dispatched in that world, you come back to life like at that stage, so you have to do it at a specific time. But yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting world. I liked it. Then I read a graphic novel. It was my first graphic novel. It's called Displacement by Kiku Hughes. It's a girl that learns her own history about Japanese internment camps, if I remember correctly. It was so good. The art is delicious. The story, so well crafted. Highly recommend. Then I picked up the second book in The Dispatcher and the third book, both 4 stars. Really fun. It's a fun listen to. If you're on Audible, they're free with the subscription. I recommend. And then I picked up Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. I cried so much. The story about two best friends. That's it. It's their whole life as best friends. There's a TV show about it. I never watched it, but the book. The emotions. 4.25. After that, I read Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. I'll just say that Bone Dog is in my heart forever. 5 stars. This one too, I had to buy a trophy copy. So good. And then I picked up If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, which is a Shakespeare story about the murder, and then you need to find out what really happened through Shakespeare stuff in a school, so dark academia. I listened to the audio while reading the book because since it was Shakespeare, I was like, it passed way over my head. And the audio is played by like many voices, many actors, and it's like listening to an actual play. It's really interesting. It's really fun. I highly recommend. I gave it 5.5 stars. I was really impressed by that one. After that, I read The Puppet Master by Sam Holland. She is the best at crime fiction. She is the absolute best. The way she crafts, the way she plots, the way she creates those mean serial killers. She is so good. She is so good. It's like reading a police procedural, but a really dark and grimy one. It's delicious. 5 stars. This one is the third one in the major crime series. Read her books. I don't know why she's not like everywhere on all of your bookshelves. She needs to be. Her books are delicious. If you enjoy a crime book, please read this. Amazing. After that, I think I read the book that made me cry the most last year. It's What Does It Feel Like by Sophie Kinsella. It's a tiny novella that's about a woman that has a brain injury, or she's sick, something in her brain, and it's her recovery from that. And she's a famous writer. So basically, it's Sophie Kinsella's story that she fictionalized. The way it's written, it's so different from her other stuff. But I grew up reading the Shopaholic books, so to me, it was a really special read, and I loved every minute of it. I cried so much. So beautiful, so raw, so important. 5 stars for sure. After that, I started The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I just posted a video about my love for R.F. Kuang, so I'll keep it short. Really enjoyed the first one. I gave it 4 stars. After that, I picked up When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This is the really thick dragon book. Gave it 4 stars because it's well crafted, but God, does nothing happen, and you finish the book and you have no answers, absolutely no answers. And now I need to read the second book to find, ideally, some stuff out. And do I want to? I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I don't. And the last book in July was a novel love story by Ashley Poston. So cute. It's not the hit for everyone, but this one, again, magical realism, romance story. It's a woman that finds herself in the town of her favorite romance books. Gilmore Girl coded, the vibes delicious. Such a cute story. And the main character is, of course, the librarian at a bookstore. So, I mean, it's perfect. After that, I found the arc beginning of August for Full Speed to a Crash Landing by Beth Revis. Amazing sci-fi novella. So freaking fun. So fun. So much fun. It's so good. I still think about the peach scene. Read this. Read this. And then I picked up Fire and Bones by Kathy Reichs. I also read all of her books when I was younger, so I was excited to pick up that one when I got the arc. It was a good one. I liked being back in that world, Temperance Brennan's world, but it wasn't the best one I've read from that series, but it's a good one. I'm not sure I'd recommend reading her books if you're not already into that whole universe. I guess you could, but I don't see the point. Hot take, I don't know. But anyways, it's the 23rd one in the series. So if you like her books, this is a good one. After that, I picked up Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. Cute middle grade book that apparently everyone has read, but I hadn't. There's a movie. I've never seen the movie. I liked it. It was cute. 4 stars. After that, I found my second favorite thriller of the year. Again, an arc. I got lucky with my arcs. It's The Chamber by Will Dean. I'm not big on stories set all in the same place. I like a story that moves a bit more, but this one is set in a submarine. That's it. It's like the tiniest thing. Oh my god, the vibes, the vibes. It's like you read it and you sweat. It's my god, like the way he wrote that one. So good. 5 stars. After that, I started my Heartstopper era. They're so cute and perfect and so good. I haven't watched the show, but the graphic novels are amazing. Gave 4 stars to the first one, gave 4 stars to the second one. And then I picked up Finders Keepers, which is the second in the Mr. Mercedes trilogy by Stephen King. Gave 3 stars to that one. Did not enjoy it. I liked it, but I did not enjoy it. Then I picked up Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. Again, 3 stars. Do not remember what it's about. After that, I got Sandwich by Catherine Newman. It was really popular on like Canada Reads and stuff like that. So I wanted to read it. I did not know what I was getting into. I had never read any of her books, and I never really read synopsis before picking up books, but I picked that one up, and God, it's so good. Again, under 300 pages, so a quick read. Yeah, you just follow a family along, basically on the mother's POV, for a week of vacation, and that's it. The feelings, the emotions, the setting again. So good. I need to read her other books. After that, I picked up Heartstopper Volume 3, gave 4 stars, and Radio Silence, which is a novel set into that world, gave 4 stars by Alice Oseman. After that, picked up Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I liked it. I mixed audio with the book. The audio is really good. I highly recommend doing the audio. I was expecting a 5 stars since everybody loves it so much, but it was a 4 for me. Then I read Heartless Hunter by Kristen Sorelli, which is the first one in the Crimson Moth duology. I liked it. The male main character makes her dress. It's so cute. 4 stars. After that, I had an arc by Simon & Schuster of 24 Seconds From Now by Jason Reynolds, which is a romance book that's YA, and his writing is very lyrical, poetic. It's not something I'm used to, but I really enjoyed reading that one. 4 stars. After that, I picked up A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. I love T. Kingfisher. 4 stars. And then I picked up, that was my boyfriend's pick. We went to Indigo and he just picked that book up. And I was just like, okay, never heard of it. Did not know what it's about. It's called Rabbit, Rabbit, Rabbit by Nadine Sander Green. That book shook me. It's set in, I think, Yellowknife, I think. Anyways, you follow a girl that moves there and just starts working at the paper, and you just follow her along while she learns to live up there. That book, the way she wrote it, it just shook me to my core. I loved it. Read that one. It's important. And then I picked up The Jasad Hair by Sarah Hashem. 4 stars. It's a fantasy novel, but the way she wrote the heroine, it's not romantasy. It's a fantasy novel, and it's really interesting, the world that she created. I'm really excited to pick up the second one. So yeah, a good start. 4 stars. Then I read Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. Again, I never really read synopsis, so I didn't know what to expect. So I thought werewolf story, gory, scary, not what it is, not what she writes. So I was disappointed, but if I had gone in with the right expectations, I think I would have had a lot of fun, but I gave it 3 stars. After that, I decided to pick up The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher, which I gave 4 stars to. It was good. And then I listened to Drop Dead by Lily Chu on Audible. 3 stars. Through that, my Emily Austen way of life started. God, I love her writing. I read Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. She writes, it's like she writes exactly what you think in your head on paper, but better than you thought. Gave this one 4.5 stars. It's amazing. It's amazing. You need to read everything she writes. After that, Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman, 5 stars. And then Red Dragon by Thomas Harris, which is the first book in the Hannibal Lecter books. I wanted to read the classics. I watched the Hannibal show with Mads Mikkelsen, which is like the best show ever. And I wanted to see where they got the inspiration. It's a good one. It's like, it doesn't really age that well, but it's a good book. 3.5 stars. A little too slow, a little too much, but still a good book. Then I picked up The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. 5 stars. Horror book, weird one, amazing. Cannibalism, violence, female rage. 5 stars. After that, we started September with Known to the Victim by Kale Armstrong. Gave it 4 stars too. Don't really remember what it was about, but I liked it. After that, My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Mospeg. 5 stars. I wrote on Goodreads that this book is perfection and is why I read. So, take with that what you will. 5 stars. Then Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. I mixed the audio with the reading because it's actually read by Meryl Streep. So for sure it's good. 4 stars. It's about a mother that talks about her history while picking apples in their farm in Minnesota during COVID. Then I read A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I gave 3.75 stars to. It's a vampire-ish story. Interesting. Then I read the second book in the Poppy War, which is called The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. Liked it. 5 stars. Really liked it. I really liked it. I love her writing. I love her books. Then I read By Any Other Name by Jodi Picoult, which was one of my favorite fictions of the year. God, she writes great books. This one is about Shakespeare and who apparently wrote his books, his plays, and how women get viewed for their work back then and today. It's the dual timeline. I loved it. It's an important read. 5 stars. And then I picked up When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. It's a fun one. It's vampire, Polish inspired. It's a novella. It's a fun one. I'll read the second one. It's a good one. 4 stars. After that, I picked up The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I was excited to read that one because, Gilmore Girls, Lisa Simpson read it. So I wanted to have read it. And God damn, the first 20 pages are so racist. I wanted to stop because it hurt me so much. But then I was like, it was written in 19 whatever, so it was like normal for the time, even though it's highly unacceptable now. So I continued to read it. It's a really interesting one. I like how she paves the way for weird books for us weird book girlies. But are there better books? Definitely. Then I picked up an amazing graphic novel, horror. It's called The Guest in the House by Emily Carroll. If you like horror, pick this up. That's it. 5 stars. Amazing. I keep recommending it to everyone, and everyone loves it. Then I read another horror book, the most popular one, I think, last year. It's called We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver. I had an arc. I did not want to read it. I don't know why. The setting sounded fun. It's about someone that knocks on a door and they enter and they never leave. Like, that sounds fun. But then I finally picked it up and I wrote on Goodreads, I loved it until about 70%. I liked it until 95%. I hated the ending. So there you go. Then I read my favorite book of the year. If I could get it tattooed on my soul, I would. Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. 5 stars. Actual shivers. That book. Wow. After that, The London Science Society by Sarah Penner. She wrote The Lost Apothecary, I think 3-4 years ago. I really like that one. It's a historical fiction with witches. So historical fantasy. But this one was not as good, but it was still a fun one. It's 3.5 stars. Then I read Anibot by Sierra Greer. I know it's not for everyone, but the amount of empathy that I had for that AI robot is insane. That any author could make me feel that much for a robot, incredible. So I gave it 4.25. Then I picked up The Women by Kristen Hanna. Did not want to read that one. My Booksta besties convinced me to, forced me to. I see you. I did it. Gave it 4 stars. Made me care about war. I don't enjoy reading about war. It makes me sad. But I read it. It's an important one. It's a fun one. It's about the role of women in the Vietnam War. Sorry. I liked it. 4 stars. After that, I finished The Poppy War, so The Burning God, which is the third one in the trilogy, by R.F. Kuang. Gave it 5 stars. Amazing. After that, I picked up May Fly by C.J. Lead. Horror book. So gory. So gory. I loved it. That and The Eyes Are the Best Part. Delicious. Wow. The Return of Ellie Black, which is thriller. I had heard good things about it, but I didn't know what to expect, so I finally picked it up at the library, and I really enjoyed it. It was surprising. I gave it 5 stars. I liked it. After that, I listened to a nonfiction book that's called Stiff. It's The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers. That's what happens to cadavers after you give them to science. Really interesting. It's an older book. It's by Mary Roach. It's fascinating. I really like that one. After that, I listened to Want by Gillian Anderson, which was her nonfiction that came out last year. I was super excited about that one, but it kind of fell flat. I expected more, but it's kind of just a collection of letters that she received. She curated what she put in the book, but that's it. I expected her to have like a point of view. She really doesn't. Well, in the beginning, in the intro, she does, but then it's just the letters. So I was disappointed about that, but it's an interesting one. And then I read Do Your Worst by Rosie Danan. I gave 3 stars. It's a romance. It's good for Halloween. Like it's a romance that's about a curse breaker set in Scotland. It's fun. It's a fun one. Then I read the second one in the Chaotic Orbits duology by Beth Revis, which is called How to Steal a Galaxy. You remember how I talked about the first one that was so amazing and I still think about the beach scene? Well, this is the second one and it was almost as good. Almost. I really liked it. 5 stars. After that, I listened to Men Have Called Her Crazy, the memoir of Anna Marie Tendler. Uh, it's an interesting one. I don't rate memoirs really. I put a rating on Goodreads just for the heck of it. But I mean, it's her story. It's her story. So interesting. It's an interesting one. After that, I picked up The God of the Woods. You know how it's everyone's best book? Well, to me, it was 2 stars. I'll leave it at that. Picked up after that The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chachki. The vibes. Can you tell I love vibes in books? This one, delicious. Again with the sirens. Crazy this morning. Sorry. It's fairy tale-ish, dark, grim. 4 stars. Then I picked up What You Wish For by Catherine Center. I really, really enjoyed that one. 5 stars. Fun book. And then my last book of October, The Return by Rachel Harrison. So I picked up Rachel Harrison for a second time by now knowing what she writes, and I had fun with that one. It's in a hotel. It's like haunted house vibes, and yeah, it's fun. I gave it 4 stars. Then November started, and I have a hard time with translated fiction, but I want to fix that. So I picked up If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. I like the idea, I like the concept, but I hated the translation, so I gave it 3 stars. After that, I read The Atlas Paradox, which is the second one in the Atlas 6 trilogy by Olivia Blake. It was better than I expected. I enjoyed Atlas 6. I did not really think it was needed to continue. Like, the story doesn't end with Atlas 6, but I liked it as a standalone, but still. Anyways, I didn't know what to expect when going in, but it left me intrigued. I want to read the third one, even though everyone hates it. Still haven't read it though. After that, I finished and the trilogy from Stephen King with the Mr. Mercedes trilogy. It's called End of Watch, and I really enjoyed this one. It's well crafted to end that trilogy. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read one of my most surprising 5-star of the year, which is The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Lind. I did not expect to like it, but I mean, it's so pretty, so I bought it. Those edges, they're so gorgeous. And honestly, I love that book. Is it the best written book? No. Is it the best story? No. Is it super freaking fun? Yeah. So 5 stars. After that, I picked up The Home for Unwanted Girls by Joanna Goodman. I gave 3.25, did not care for that one. Then I picked up Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. 5 stars. Wow. After that, Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner. I wish I could reread that one. And the way she wrote, so talented, so freaking talented. It's about a spy in Europe that needs to infiltrate a commune. It's just, you follow her. It's really slow. It's really just, yeah, it's an interesting one. It won, I think, 3rd place in the Booker Prize. and 5 stars. Yeah. Then I picked up Miracle Creek by Angie Kim, sorry, and I gave 4.5 stars. It's like a courtroom thriller, like that you would get on TV, but in a book. It's fun. It's a good book. Then I read A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher, and I gave 4 stars to it. It was my first 300 plus pages book by that author, and I really enjoyed it. And then I read Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. Can you see that for me, November is still spooky season? I love that book. I wrote on Goodreads. I said this was way more fun than any book with nanobots should be. So yeah, that's about the vibes that you should have going in it. Then I read another very disappointing read in my art pile, Serial Killer Support Group. I gave 1 stars to. I did not enjoy it. After I picked up I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. 5 stars. 5 stars. I get it. It took me a while to get, I think, 60% in, and then I got it. I really got it. So I'll try to move along for the rest of it. We don't have that many left. After that, I read another arc, I Would Die for You by Sandy Jones, another psychological thriller. Gave 2 stars. Then I read Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney, 3 stars. A Long Walk to Water by Linda Sue Park, 5 stars. Tiny novella about the war in Sudan. Mandatory reading. Read this one. It's like 100 pages. So powerful. So powerful. Picked up Slewfoot by Brom. 4 stars. The drawings. And then we start December. The Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson. Christmas novella. It's a fun one. I did not expect to like it that much. I gave it 3.75, I think. After that, I read Hello, I Want to Die, Please Fix Me, which is depression in the first person by Anna Meller Paperny. Interesting. It's not a book to help you with depression, but it's an interesting read. After that, Mary by Nat Cassidy. Amazing. I still think about this book often. 5 stars. After that, another nonfiction, What My Bones Know, a memoir of healing from complex trauma by Stephanie Fu. Another important one. I really enjoyed that one. I highly recommend. Then Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. Late to the Party. I liked it. 4 stars. Then Song of Silver Flame Like Night by Emily Wen Zhao. 3 stars. It's okay.
Hey guys, I just noticed that my battery died and we were almost done, so I plugged in and let's finish this. So I was talking about The Coin by Yasmin Zaire, which was one of my most surprising and favorite books of the whole year. This one is about a Palestinian that moves to New York, and you just follow her life. For that, it's a weird one. It's a weird one, but it's a good one. I was really surprised. The writing, I could have read her story forever. After that, The Mistletoe Mystery by Nita Prose, which is a Christmas novella set in the Maid universe. It was cute. I liked it. After that, The Last Wish, which is the novella. I think it's a novella collection set in before the first Witcher book. I liked it. I liked being back in the universe. Then I read Penance by Eliza Clark. Really surprising book. I love her writing. It was a very impacting read. I love that one. I recommend it a lot. I think she's a genius. I'm gonna read everything she writes. Then I read The Arc for the Love Haters by Catherine Center, which is coming out, I think, in May. It's a really fun one. I think you'll enjoy it. After that, I picked up I Need You to Read This by Jessa Maxwell. Did not care for it. I liked her first book, The Golden Spoon. This is still cozy mystery. Did not care for it. Then I read Not Forever But For Now by Chuck Palahniuk. He's not for everyone. Definitely not. He's for me. I like that one. He doesn't fail. Don't Let Him In by Elisa Jewell. I think it's coming out. Is it this week? Next month? I'm confused. I liked it. 4 stars. Then Sword of Destiny, the second novella collection prior to the first Witcher book. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. 5 stars. I really enjoyed that one. And then, oh yeah, that was my last book of the year. See, we were almost done. So thanks for sticking out. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's any book that you'd like to know more about, let me know. I'll chat about it with great pleasure. If you want to know my favorites, I shared a short, I think 2 weeks ago. It's in my list. I'll link it down below. And if you've stuck around that long, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. And thank you so much for listening to me talk about these books for so long. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.